top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei leading Friday prayers at a packed mosque in Tehran. Chants of "Death to Israel" loud across the square. It's a rare appearance. His last public sermon was after the assassination of top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Iran's missile attack was completely legal, he says, before calling Israel a vampire and the US a rabid dog. Tehran's sabre-rattling only getting louder, threatening to hit Israeli energy sites if it retaliates. Israel weighing up striking Iran's oil fields.
If I were in those shoes, I'd be thinking about other alternatives than striking oil fields.
But as the White House tries to temper Israeli action, former President Donald Trump stoked the fire.
When they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later.
Carrying out its own strikes, hitting more than a dozen targets linked to Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. It comes days after American warships were attacked in the Red Sea. The airstrikes across Lebanon, relentless. This shows the reach of Israeli bombs. Over just a 3-day period, the bulk focused on the country's capital and the south. While in Lebanon's south, Israeli troops move house to house, the IDF ordering 30 villages to evacuate. On its other border with Syria, an enormous crater. This is where the Israeli Air Force has attacked an underground tunnel, which it says was being used by Hezbollah to transfer and store weapons. Families now forced to flee Lebanon on foot, the main highway crossing cut off. Hezbollah continuing to return fire, a barrage of rockets forcing our crew to take cover in Haifa. As we move further north, we find virtual ghost towns. Kiryat Shimona is one of the closest Israeli towns to the border and the ground battle. Only a handful of residents have stayed. It's targeted frequently. Not far away, we spot dozens of tanks parked in formation, ready to move forward. Right along the border, there's a big military presence.
what do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that what you're supposed to hit? I mean, it's the biggest risk we have. Nuclear weapons, the power of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. You know, I rebuilt the entire military, jets, everything. I built it, including nuclear, and I hated to build the nuclear, but I got to know firsthand the power of that stuff, and I'll tell you what, we have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's what they should. If they're going to do it.
Look, the Israelis have every right to respond to the vicious attacks on them, not just from the Iranians, but from everyone from Hezbollah to the Houthis. Anyway, and but the fact is that they have to be very much more careful about.
The Israeli people, for the whole year, have been fighting, and we're determined now to fight back. This is a once-in-a-50-year opportunity. What Israel needs to do immediately, we need to take out Iran's nuclear program, we need to attack Iran's energy facilities, and we need to attack the regime itself right away, because Iran made a fatal mistake of shooting 200 ballistic missiles at the state of Israel. Enough is enough.
Well, do you think
we need to do? I'm not privy to the current cabinet discussion, but what happened is for the past 20 years, Iran has built a circle of fire, a ring of fire around us and across the entire Middle East. And it's zooming forward towards a nuclear weapon. So now is the moment. You know, sometimes history knocks on your door and you got to seize the moment. If we don't do it now, I don't see it ever happening. And now is the moment. I also want to explain why. Because Iran's strategy, it had two arms that were sort of defending it, or they were its insurance policy against an Israeli strike, and that's Hezbollah and Hamas. But those two arms are temporarily paralyzed. So it's like a boxer out in the ring without arms for the next few minutes. Now is the time that we can attack, because Iran is fully vulnerable. The Islamic Republic of Iran, it's time to hit, destroy the nuclear program, and finally allow the Iranian people to rise up, the amazing Iranian people who have the worst regime, one of the worst regimes on earth. This is the time, this would be the gift of the Israeli people, the Jewish people, to the Iranian people.
I just want to be precise, Prime Minister. You want Israeli airstrikes to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities and its energy facilities, all the oil wells and the oil-related industry that is the main part of the Iranian economy.
That's correct. A few hours ago, let's understand, the largest ballistic attack in the history of the world. 200 ballistic missiles in one attack were shot from one country to our country, from the Islamic Republic of Iran to Israel. The fact that we have brilliant engineers, amazing technology, and very clever people should not protect Iran from our wrath. And what they've been doing to us during the past year is unbearable, and we contained it. You know, I coined the term that the Israeli people have shown to be a nation of lions. Well, the lion is now waking up in its den, and we're roaring, and it's about to hit back. Enough is enough. You can't mess with us and get away with it anymore. Shame on him. This guy is a clown. He's a clown because he cannot even bring himself to utter the words, I condemn the Islamic Republic of Iran for shooting 200 ballistic missiles on the Jewish state. He's condemning the broadening. What is the broadening? Have you ever met the broadening? I've never seen a broadening walk on the street. He's a coward. It's time for him to quit. The UN is a farce. If the United Nations cannot stand up and do what's necessary when one country is attacked by another. We did nothing to Iran. And for the past year, they've been making our lives miserable, not only ours, the entire Middle East. And instead of standing up for what's right, this coward cannot even bring himself to condemn Iran. Well, it's time for him to quit.
Menu. Look, from Israel's point of view, in 1981, they took out the Iraqi nuclear program. And in 2007, they took out the plutonium processing plant in Deir ez-Zor, Syria. Iran is a much more complicated problem set because it's 6 times the size of Great Britain, 4 times the size of Iraq, and the program, the targets are far more desperate. The only good news here is if Israel or the United States wanted to take out the underground nuclear facilities, they don't need to destroy those facilities that are buried under mountains. They only need to take out the entrances and the exits.
over 300. Before 9/11, Hezbollah were responsible for more American deaths than any other terrorist organization. None of this even mentions the thousands of Lebanese people and Syrians that they brutally murdered at the altar of their tyrannical masters. In the past year alone, since October 8th, Hezbollah has launched over 9,000 missiles and rockets, over 1,000 anti-tank missiles and hundreds of attack drones. They have made over 70,000 Israeli civilians refugees in their own country. Let me ask the Consul and the entire world, how would any of you react if faced with such an attack? What would any nation do if hundreds of ballistic missiles were raining down on your civilians, your cities, your places of worship? The scale of this attack is unimaginable, and yet Iran is determined to escalate further. This is not just a threat to Israel, this is a threat to the entire world. We will defend our people, and our response will be swift and decisive. Those who attack us will face serious consequences. For every missile fired, we will respond with strength. For weeks, I have said the time for empty calls for de-escalation is over. How can you do that? To equate Israel, a nation simply wishing to live in peace, acting in defense of its people, with an aggressor bent on our destruction, is not just wrong. It is a grotesque and immoral distortion of reality. This is not a conflict between two equal sides. This is a battle between a sovereign country defending its right to exist and a regime that seeks nothing less than our extinction. And I repeat what I said last time. We have no border with Iran. We have no dispute with them. Ask yourself why they spend so much money and energy to build those rockets and to attack us. What is the reason behind it? Calls for de-escalation is a false symmetry, an absurd equivalence between the protector and the destroyer. Tonight actually, the Jewish people will welcome the new year. The past year has been the most challenging in our country's history, but we will prevail. In this coming year, we will not stop until all 101 hostages are back at their families' tables. Let the world understand, Israel will defend itself, and will do so with justice and strength.